Welcome to the Call to Lead, where founders and CEOs in the finance sector share what calls them to be a leader and offer wisdom for ambitious professionals. I'm Tracy, CEO of Windsor Edge, where we grow financial services and fintech businesses. Let's get into today's episode. I'm speaking with Itay Sagie, owner of Sagie Capital Advisors, a company that helps startups both scale and create partnerships, as well as develop their M&A exit strategy. Itay, I introduced you as an owner, but you are also a lecturer, a columnist, and you wear a variety of hats.
Right now, let's say a chief juggling officer. That's what I do. I juggle everything. The family life, advisory, teaching, Crunchbase and Inc., creating a new startup, and writing more academic content to create a new course. So it's a lot of balancing. I do have a background which is completely different. So I started in biotech engineering at MIT, and then I moved from Boston to Barcelona after I realized I like animals too much and to do all these experiments on. And I like to see commercial results faster than the pharma industry typically has. So it pushed me towards business. I also grew up in a home filled with entrepreneurial spirit, which I think kind of shaped who I became today.
How did you come to create your own company?
Well, first of all, I have to give a lot of credit to my wife who supports me through all this and allows me to try and fail and try again and fail and then eventually hopefully succeed. So that's a big part of it, having a family that supports you. Prioritizing health is a big thing for me. Young professionals in their 30s don't even think about it because they tend to be okay even if they eat poorly or don't exercise. But at 40, it's different. You can wake up and be half paralyzed just for sleeping. You don't have to do much to hurt yourself in your body. So health is very important right now. I tried to work for others, and then I came to realization that it's hurting my health. I felt it was more toxic for me or not suitable for me. I also felt like my work, while it was appreciated, what they cared about more is how many hours I punch in, which is not the way I work.
How do you think you've changed the expectations that you have for other people that have deliverables to you or partner with you?
Whenever I work with someone, the only thing I care about is results. I don't care where they work from, how many hours they work. All I care about is results. And of course, they should be a fun person to work with. And so that's pretty much the only thing I care about because that's what I expect others for me,
I think that's
I
rare,
guess.
but it makes sense to me.
It should make sense to more people, I agree. So I decided to go on my own path, which is not easy. The first couple of years, I have to say, I lost almost all my money in the first couple of years of trying to create my own business. It was a hard start, but over time, as you accumulate more success, more capital, and it also brings more customers because of the success. That created a situation where I'm financially independent, which is where I think many, not only entrepreneurs want to be in, but also employees, I think, want to be financially independent of their employer's whims.
How did you turn things around, or how did you start to find your footing and grow? Were there any major turning points?
Over time, I just got more confident in myself and my ability to deliver and also charge money, which is something you have to learn to do. Charge money for your time. In the beginning, you're even apologetic about it. Over time, you learn how to sell yourself properly, and people are happy to pay for quality work. And it's not a deal breaker. On the contrary, it's strange if you don't ask for money. So, learning how to confidently ask for money in exchange for services seems very easy and intuitive, but it's hard for someone creating their own company. That took a while. And then, of course, after you also sell a couple of companies, capital in the door, and it's more than you're used to as an employee. It gives you some air and makes you think about how to scale, do more, take on larger deals. So in the beginning, I would say yes to any entrepreneur, any company that came my way, even if they basically had no revenue, just IP. The wheels are falling off as you're trying to sell the company. And even did those, which is a lot harder to sell, by the way, compared to a company that's, 10, $20 million and profitable and growing. As you become more financially independent, you can say no to more, which is a big part of everything. It's a big part of having your own business. And it's a big part for startups and companies to know when to say no. Building sustainable companies is what I teach about. It gives you the ability to say no to investors. If you're financially independent, you can say no to investors because you have a growing profitable company, which means investors will run after you with better terms. Learning to say no and having the ability to say no because you're financially sustainable is a big part of it.
Having the ability to say no versus just have that mentality. Would you have advice for people who may not really have the ability, might have to risk a little bit more by saying no?
Part of it is mental, part of it is hard numbers, understanding where your business is and how you need to grow, looking at KPIs along the way, not just, for example, let's say you have a budget of $5,000 and you're wondering if I should spend it on getting new clients or on working with existing ones to try and have them buy more services and products from me. You have to prioritize the two because you're a small business. So knowing what to prioritize and what would give you a larger ROI is a big part of it. There's a whole methodology around sustainable growth, unit economics, and knowing your lifetime value of your customers, customer acquisition costs, and balancing growth and churn. So there's a lot of knowledge that has to go into it that would get you to a place where you're completely independent from investors or external capital. So, and then you can say no to whoever you want.
Absolutely. And where do you want to be in 1 year from now?
The promise I made for myself for 2025. That's hopefully the scale up year of the business. So hopefully it's a growing and profitable business that would give me even more freedom to say no to more to more opportunities.
Regarding the scale up year, what's working well and what has been causing any frustration?
First, the first one is getting good people you can trust to help along the way. It's not always the right choice, and you get burned quite a bit until you find the right team. But hopefully, now I have a good team in place. Um, Building UI, building the product, doing the marketing, and I'm interviewing more and more people all the time. Building a team is key to scaling up, and that's what I'm doing now. And that's working fairly well. What's not going as well as I hope is managing my own time and prioritizing things as well as I want to. I'm always 10 hours short with every day. So, in the M&A business and investment banking and sell side M&A, in general, that industry is not very tech savvy. It doesn't adopt technology. It's not the early adopter for anything. In many cases, investment banks don't use a lot of technologies, not because they're not available, it's just because they don't want to use them. But I do think that the younger generation, and investment bank, and I'm 44, I'm the younger generation in investment banking, I think will adopt more and more technologies over time. I don't think you can ignore the huge shift going on in today's world with AI and AI agents. It's something I cannot ignore. I do not want to ignore. And I'm diving deep into it and see how it can transform the way investment banks will work in the future. I think the big winners in the game of AI are not necessarily going to be the LLM engines. It's going to be commoditized, especially with Chinese engines coming in, open sourcing it, making it very cheap. I think it's more about understanding the business needs and creating a tailored solution that solves a real pain. For that, you don't need to be so tech savvy. You need to understand the business need. I think the innovation will come from understanding business needs and attending to them. One of the needs that I've seen in investment banking is a lot of manual work done by the junior people. For example, creating data rooms. So when you get a request for information after signing an LOI, a letter of intent with basic terms of a deal, buyer sends a list of 300 questions on everything about the company, all the way to how much you pay for cleaning and the type of cookies you have. Everything has to be there. You have to create a data room based on those questions, and it's sometimes a lot of folders you have to create. So they have like 30 questions under financials, 20 questions under tax, and they might call it, in T1, T2, T3. And then you have to go, let's say, to your data room if it's hosted on Dropbox, create a new data room, give it a name, and create a new subfolder, give it a name, go back to the parent folder, give a new name to the subfolder, do that over and over again. It makes you think about your life choices, why you came to spend 5 hours doing it. It's very tedious and frustrating and error prone. So I said in 2025, there has to be a better way to do it. I researched and I found that if you're a developer, you can maybe overcome that issue somehow with writing scripts and code. But most bankers don't know how to write code. I also created a survey with investment banks and I got 75% positive feedback saying they would buy it if it were to exist. And so that pushed me to say, okay, I'm going to build it. A lot of people, including my wife, asked, aren't you afraid someone will steal it? I did the survey before I had anything. I just said, theoretically, if this were to work, would you buy it? Well, now everybody will know about it and will steal your idea. So that's like the last thing I'm worried about. I care more about validating my hypothesis than I am about someone stealing it.
A lot of people are going to come up with the same idea. It's really about the execution and the founder and other aspects outside of just the idea.
Yeah. If your idea is your only moat, then you're in trouble. Because it is going to get out there, and now it's out there. So what now? And you see a lot of entrepreneurs trying to get VCs to sign NDAs before they share their beautiful idea. It's not going to happen. It's just a big turnoff for investors. It just shows you're not connected with the world. So I got the validation that there is a need, and so I went ahead and created it. And hopefully, by the time this gets published, then it will be out there. If you want, I can show you how it works.
We would love to see how it works, please.
So this is my Dropbox account. I just have my real projects in here, and these are sample projects I'm building. My EZFolders account has a mirror image of my existing Dropbox account. Okay. If I want to create a new folder, I have to create folder, give it a name, and so on. And then do that. If you do that 5 times, it's fine. If you do it 30 or 200 times, it's not fine. That's my VDR, my virtual data room. That's my platform. And now if I have a client, I will create the data room here as a parent folder, and I will share it with the buyer after I populate it with information. And typically you give it a project name because you hide the company's name for various reasons. So here I can integrate my Dropbox or my Drive. Currently we support Dropbox and Drive. And the reason for supporting Drive, by the way, is if you have, let's say, Intralinks or Firmex or something I don't yet support, you can create it on Drive because 100% of people have Drive, populate it, and then upload it wherever you want. So let's say I wanted to create a data room named Project Tracy with 3 subfolders.
We'll take it.
HR, Tech, Funds. Under Finance, let's create 15 subfolders named F1 to F15. And then you click send. It will convert my request into something that the Dropbox API can understand. It will first ask to confirm my requests. Did it understood it? Confirmed. It will turn it essentially in the backend into a JSON code, which the Dropbox API may understand, and it will create it. So there you go. Project Tracy, HR Tech Finance, and under Finance, F1 to F15. And it's also, of course, in the Dropbox itself. This would have taken me quite a while to do, and it's very frustrating. So that was the dream I had when I asked in the survey if this were to exist, would they buy it? And they said yes. So this is exactly what I imagined, and it works for Dropbox. It works for Drive, and there you go.
And who's going to be the main customer?
So I think investment banks, which is my use case, but from speaking with more people, I know that there may be needs in more industries, in finance and legal, healthcare, for example. When you do clinical trials, there's a lot of information. Even not for data rooms, even when you onboard a new client, even for consulting work, you have templates, right? I actually want to share my screen again. So you have templates of customer onboarding. And for every client, you can create a CSV file of a template of a new client onboarding. You can upload a CSV file of a data room structure, upload, and it's done. It'll create it in seconds.
Is it fair to say that any sort of organization, the idea of adopting some kind of data room as a way to organize your operations, even if you're not preparing a data room that you actually literally hand over to somebody to evaluate? Can this concept of the data room be broader?
Even if you're a private person, photographer, you have a bunch of folders from various dates and events that you organize for yourself. There are many reasons why you would create a data room outside of investment banking. It can grow not just with new VDRs and support more vendors, it can grow and have more features. For example, the buy side bank can also ask the chat questions on how are we doing with populating this data room and where are we in the process and where did this assumption come from and the forecast. So there's a lot we can do with not a lot of effort. So once we have AI engine connected to the API, we can converse with it basically with your data room, have a natural language conversation with your data room, which is something that wasn't done before. And it can also be done cheap, even free forms like Google Drive, which maybe in some of these features, I think it will really enhance any platform.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Do you think real data rooms before virtual data rooms were just giant filing cabinets filled with
Yeah,
everything?
definitely. You go to any lawyer's office, you will see a bunch of actual folders when they have to keep them 7 years in their archives. It's a lot of paperwork, but these days you do M&A transactions even for a lot of money. Everything is virtual.
So, no matter how many decades have passed since a real room has existed, do you think we'll just forever call them rooms?
That's a good question. Possibly. You also say pick up the phone,
Pick up the phone. Yeah,
but you just click it. You don't pick up anything, really.
no. And with your goal of scaling up, what are the metrics that you're looking at?
The way I also teach, I also try to do myself. I created my own forecast, managing expenses. I have my eye on everything in terms of cash and return on investment, and if it actually brought more customers, didn't bring more customers, what worked, what didn't work, so I don't overspend. Especially when it's bootstrapping into your own personal money, then you're even more vigilant, right, than if you were to raise capital from VCs. So I will keep my eye continuously on the unit economics metrics and grow sustainably.
I did notice that you have one major metric that you've mentioned, but you didn't identify it as a metric. I'm going to say the amount of times that you say no, or your no ratio.
It just shows you're advancing. Like you have to be proud. Every time you say no, you should be proud that you had the ability to say no.
Yeah, so people should start tracking that no ratio for sure. Any plans you want to share or any goals?
So I am looking to partner with some of these big vendors. A lot of large accounting firms have shown interest because they all want to work with banks. The relationship with banks is important, and hopefully I'll have hundreds, if not thousands, of banks working with me. I think it's going to be very valuable.
Great. And thank you so much for hanging out and sharing all this wisdom.
Thank you, Tracy. So typical, it's every day is very different. But I do have the luxury of working